everyone, and thank you for joining us at Convo with You. Today we have with us Dr. Sabrina Black, who will give us some information about emotional and mental self-care.
Dr. Black is author, a doctor, a counselor, a motivator, encourager, a mentor. She's so many things, but she'll be able to describe herself a little bit better. So we're going to jump right into our topic and welcome our guest, Dr. Sabrina Black.
Thank you so much for joining us, Doctor.
It
We do
is
appreciate
so
it.
good
You're welcome.
to be here. I've been following you ladies, and I'm excited about getting the chance to be a part of the show.
Awesome.
I feel like I'm on the Black View, but the Christian version.
Yes, it is a Christian version. So, Dr. Black, to begin, can you describe your expertise in maybe 3 words that you could give us?
Oh, 3 words. Well, 3 words is hard to try to explain what I do.
The best you
But
can.
I would say I'm a counselor, I'm a consultant, I'm a conference speaker. I do coaching for women around the world in the city of Detroit and everywhere else. And so my goal primarily is to just provide hope, help, and healing to the body of Christ worldwide, and to do whatever I can to make a difference in the lives of people.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you for that. Could you give us a little bit about information about the services? Define it a little bit, break it down that you offer to women.
Absolutely. So in terms of services, I provide individual marriage and family counseling. And in the counseling, it's for people who are dealing with just the various issues of life. A lot of times people feel like you have to be crazy. And let me say to the listening audience, counseling is not just for crazy people. Yes, crazy people get counseling, and if you know somebody, have them call me. But counseling is for anybody who's dealing with anything in life. I mean, and for me, this is my opportunity to walk alongside someone for a season of life and help them deal with the issues of life from a biblical perspective. And so that can be if you're dealing with depression, if you're dealing with anxiety, if you just have issues from the past that you're still carrying, that you just haven't put down, whatever it is. And sometimes you just need a coach. You know, it may not be that you have any kind of dysfunction or any problem. It's just that you're trying to make some decisions in your life and you're saying, man, I need somebody I can talk to help me think things through. And so I provide that type of coaching service. But then I also get a chance to work with communities at large and congregations by doing conference speaking and sharing with a whole group of people. And so whatever you need me for, just call me.
Oh, that's good. Sounds like if you need help,
Call
you
me.
get help.
Hope, help, and healing.
And when we think about it, there's a difference between emotional and mental, and we realize that. But most of our audience, it's an emotional type thing that we're looking at. And so how can I recognize that I am in emotional trouble?
Emotional trouble, you know, that's such a broad spectrum of things. When I think about emotional trouble, if you find that you're just not enjoying life, and especially if you are a Christian and you know the Lord, you know that the joy of the Lord is your strength, but you don't have that joy and you don't have that strength. When you find that you just lack energy, when you don't want to engage and connect with people, when you find that you're withdrawn, when you're just crying for no reason throughout the course of the day, when all you can think about is all the bad things that have happened to you and you don't have any sense of hope for the future, those are times when I would say you need to do something about self-care. And that's where it starts, is getting personal self-care and then reaching out to somebody else if you need to.
Now, is there something a person can do? Most people think I can't afford it. So is there anything a person can do on their own? And then there's a point I know that I must get some help.
Absolutely.
So what is the distance between I'm in trouble and I can do it myself if I do these things versus I need help and I need to call Dr.
That's a
Black?
great question. That sounds like you do counseling. You know, the difference between, I can do it on my own and I need to call a professional. One is the sense of urgency, and that's kind of how I counsel. I counsel with a sense of urgency that whatever it is, you probably have been struggling with it for too long already. Because I think for most of us, we try to deal with stuff on our own.
Absolutely.
For whatever reason. Sometimes it's because we think we can handle it. Other times it's because of shame and embarrassment. We don't want to have to tell anybody what we're going through or what we're dealing with. We just don't want to have to open up and share. We don't want to be that vulnerable, that transparent. And so sometimes we kind of just keep it closed. But the difference is if it's impairing daily functioning. If you're finding that you can't get stuff done, if you look around your house and your stacks got stacks.
Oh, that's a nice way. Okay.
I'm not talking about just a little bit of clutter, a little bit of mess. I'm talking about if you got stacks of stuff that you've been meaning to get to, that you just have not gotten back to because you just don't have the drive for it. You know, if you find that people in your world keep telling you the same thing, and you know, a lot of times when people tell us something, we ignore it. Oh, they just don't like me, or they just dissing me. But if you're hearing the same thing from multiple people, you may need to stop and pay attention. You know, it's not just your husband, it's not just your girlfriend, it's not just your mom. But the other thing is that in terms of how do you know, is that people in your world love you, and sometimes their vision is skewed. You know, because they love you so much, sometimes they don't challenge you as much as they need to. They don't confront you the way they need to. They just say, you know, well that's, you know, that's Joyce. That's just how she is. You know, that's just Mickey. That's how she is. That's Tasha. You know, y'all know Tasha. And so we make allowances and excuses for people, as opposed to challenging them to grow in the things of the Lord. And so when they come for counseling, a counselor is not emotionally connected to you. You know, a counselor is able to be objective and to be able to say, you know, if you're saying this is where you want to go with your life, doing what you're doing is not going to get you there. You know, and I may sit with you while you cry and cry, maybe even in that first session, which depending on what you're going through, but we ain't going to cry every time you come in. Because at some point you got to stop crying and do something about your life.
So there's an action that's required on your part.
Absolutely.
But once you identify what's going on.
Yeah, and family and friends don't always press you in that way. You know, because they have to try to maintain a relationship with you.
Is that why they don't press you?
Well, there's a lot of reasons they don't press you. Sometimes it's because they have to live with you.
Or depend on you.
Don't want to rock the boat.
That's right. So there's a lot of different reasons. But I would say, if you know, especially for those of you who are watching right now, if you know you've been dealing with something for a long time and you've been saying, man, I need to call somebody, but I don't know who to call, not sure if I can afford to call, counseling is a lot more affordable than people think. But you know, it's also an investment in your own mental health. You know, you invest in a new pair of shoes because you got a party to go to and you put them in the closet. But investing in your own mental health is important. You know, I offer discounts for veterans, I offer discounts for students, I offer discounts for seniors. I even do a single mom with 3 or more children discount. Because I figure she got babies to feed and she needs some help.
We see her hand going up over here.
I used that one before.
And so I think that if a person really wants help and they find the right somebody, they're willing to work with them and make allowances for them. And there's also free services. I mean, a lot of local assemblies offer free counseling. You know, and so people who want help and need help are without excuse, really.
And so get your head up. And go and get some help. When you see that you need it.
Right. But you know, before you get to that point, though, there's some things you can do, and I know we're gonna get a chance to talk about some of those things that people can do on their own, because you know there are things you can do, because everything is not an issue to go sit in the office for. Yeah. Sometimes you just need to change your perspective and change where you're looking. You know, if you're spending your time looking around versus looking up, you know that's the first thing. I just think about my mom when I was growing up. She'd always say, "Baby, look up. Quit looking at other folks." She said, because other people are not your standard.
That's right.
You know, God is your standard. And so the Bible says to look to the hills from which cometh your help. Your help comes from the Lord. And so you start by looking up. And so when I think about something people can do that's really practical, you know, I do what I call these basic 4 Ps. So one is get in the presence of the Lord. You know, just get in the presence of the Lord and just be still. You know, sometimes just the constant movement would create chaos in your life and not give you a chance to stop and think about what you're dealing with. And just being still in the presence of the Lord and just hearing his voice. You know, and then being in his presence and then praying. You know, which is my second P. And so when you pray, a prayer is not, God, I need this, God, I need this, God. It's a conversation. It's communion. You know, it's being in his presence and hear what he has to say. And sometimes if you're still long enough to be in the Lord's presence and then to pray, you'll be able to deal with some self-care. I mean, but some people, that's going to be sufficient. To just pulling away from the crowd and getting away from all the noise and the busyness of life can just be like good self-care. But then the other thing, the third P, is everybody need a pajama day. And I would just recommend open your calendar, your phone, your daybook, whatever you got, and pick a day. It don't matter what day of the week you put it on, a Tuesday, a Thursday, a Friday, and put PJ Day. And on that day, keep your pajamas on, don't go nowhere, don't do nothing. That's an official lounge around kind of day.
Turn your phone off.
Turn your phone off. Because if you know you have a day like that coming, it helps you endure some of the other stuff you're going through. You know, because part of it is that we just don't get a break.
That's
You know,
true.
when you think about the lives, especially for most women are just busy.
Right.
You got too busy. And a lot of it's responsibilities. And then some of it is the age. You're caring for children, for grandchildren, for parents, for grandparents, for in-laws. You know, I think about some of the women I know, they got their kids, the neighbors' kids, the church kids. You know, that's just, whoo.
Yeah.
It's a lot. Plus a job that's 9 to 5. Plus a husband that's 5 to 9.
Everything,
You know,
everything.
so it's just a lot going on. So number 3 is that pajama day. That pajama day is important. And that's just your day. It's a day you know you got coming. And then the 4th P I would say is play. I know people laugh and say, Dr. Black, you always having a party. You always going to the movies. Because I do good self-care. I live a full life. When I'm working, I'm working. But when I'm playing, I'm playing.
That's right.
And so I exercise what I'm not talking about practice what you preach. I
Yes,
exercise what I talk about. And so you know, I try to get in the presence of the Lord. I spend time in prayer. I do my pajama days, and I play.
Yes.
You know, I'm going to get my work done.
Yes.
But I play.
Yeah.
So those are my basic 4 P's. I got like another 4.
Next show. And remembering, I was in one of your classes, and you talked to everyone about anger issues that they might have. Someone offended them, or they offended someone, and there's a lot of guilt related to it. And you had the class do a little exercise of writing a letter.
Yeah.
Can you expound on that a little bit?
You know, that's another one of those opportunities for good self-care. You know, because part of the challenge in life is that we carry so much old baggage.
Oh.
You know, just stuff, you know, things that have happened to us in life. And everything's not about sin. It's not just that you've made bad choices. You may be dealing with the result of somebody else's bad choice, but you're still carrying that. And so whether you've offended somebody and you're feeling guilty and ashamed about that, or somebody's offended you and you're feeling angry and resentful about that, there's this opportunity for you to forgive. And maybe we can talk about that when we come back after the break.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Could you give a word of encouragement? Of course you can. But in just 1 minute, let's see how gospel recording artist Kevin LeVar does in a new segment we like to call Man Up Minute.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Kevin LeVar with the Man Up Minute from ConvowithU. And I just want to encourage you. There's a scripture that says, the word of God is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. And what that's trying to let us know is that God, he'll give you exactly what you need for your next step. But don't worry about the future. Don't worry. Don't allow stress and the fear of what may happen next consume your mind and get you all stressed out. That's not the will of God for your life. But God says, if you acknowledge me in all your ways, he says, I promise I'll direct your path. Trust God for your next step, and he'll take care of the rest. God bless you. This is Kevin LeVar. Peace.
Be sure to download Kevin LeVar's new single, What the Enemy Meant for Evil, now on iTunes and Amazon. Now, let's get back to the show.
In the letter, it helped me so much to get free. And will you talk about why you decided to do that particular letter writing? What is it intended to do for the person? I know what it did for me, but I'd like to hear from you.
So with the letter, the idea is that if you have these people that you have issues with, and we won't even say they offended you, but that you know you have some unresolved issue, that there's been a break in the relationship, you don't have that level of communion that you had at one point, you actually sit down and write a letter. And when you're writing a letter, it's not an argument, because the person's not giving you their rebuttal, they're not trying to explain to you what they did, why they did it. You're just simply expressing your heart. You're saying, this is where I am, this is how I took it, this is what I felt. And so you're owning your own emotions in that moment. And as you're writing about it, you're saying, hey, this is what happened, and this is what it did to me. And I want to ask you to forgive me. Or I want to let you know that I forgive you. And so you do need to write that from a place of forgiveness, whether you're extending forgiveness to the other person or whether you're asking them to forgive you. And when you're the person that's asking for forgiveness, sometimes that can be really hard, because now it has to admit, you know, I was wrong when I, you know, and when you're talking about being wrong and confession and forgiveness, it's not I was wrong but, I was wrong and I was wrong if. So it's not, well, if you hadn't done this, it's I was wrong. You know, so it's owning I was wrong and my attitude was bad, my behavior was inappropriate, you know, I know I hurt you, And sometimes you can even say, and I did it on purpose because you hurt me so bad. But,
Right.
so you
Okay.
own your pain, and as you write that out, the letter is not to be given to the person necessarily.
Yeah.
You're writing the letter for you. So you're releasing yourself from that. And I've had people in class who've written letters who've actually gone to the gravesite of somebody who was deceased and read the letter out loud. Some people have actually prayed over their letters and put stamps on them and mailed them. I mean, I had a person in class who shared that they mailed a letter to a parent that they hadn't spoken to in over 10 years.
Wow.
And they couldn't even remember what happened. All they remember is that every time they thought about them, they were angry. But they kept saying, you know, I miss them. And I don't know how to reconnect. And that's what they wrote in the letter. They just said, I don't know what happened to us.
Yeah.
But I just know every time I think about you, I'm angry. And I don't know if you remember, but I want us back.
Yeah.
And they wrote the letter, and after that, they got a chance to meet each other. The person was out of state. They got together. They planned a big family reunion, and to find out there was so much brokenness in that family that everybody in the family started writing letters. And I just thought, wow, God. I mean, it was a simple homework assignment from a counseling class.
But it was a healing process for that person, which extended to the immediate family.
Absolutely.
And that's self-care.
Self-care.
Back to self-care.
It is self-care.
Healing.
And I wanted to share, because you, Dr. Black, you have no idea the thread that you've been in my life personally. You remember Chapel Hill?
I do.
That's
spoke
where I
at Chapel
first saw
Hill.
you.
Okay.
And then I left that church and went to Evangel, and I said, oh, wait, that's her again. I mean, you can't miss her. Hello.
She stands out.
Yeah, she just like, hello. And I was like, wow, so when I took you to the class, you were talking about writing that letter. And then I also wrote that SOS.
Yes.
That job I always mention, y'all. And SOS, Dr. Black, I'm going, and I mean, it was just, the counseling is so needed.
It's rich.
People don't, I think, you know, what you touched on about people thinking you're crazy if you need counseling, you really just need to get it out.
Yes, you do.
And then help somebody to maybe talk you through to the other side of, this is what it should look like.
That's encouraging to hear.
Yeah, that, man, I'm telling you, Dr. Black, I was like,
I mean, we can do a big group hug. Yes, we will. And, wait. Before we switch gears, if you've not had a group hug, you may need a group hug. Because a group hug is good self-care, because that means you connected.
Yeah.
You connected with somebody you feel close enough to allow them to touch you, for one, and to allow you up in your space. You know, and so that's part of that self-care too, just being
Self-care and
connected.
healing.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
good.
For
absolutely.
your emotional stability.
Yeah.
So, Dr. Black, you talked about writing the letter when you are the person asking for forgiveness. What about if you're offended and hurt and someone has done something to you? Tell us about that perspective when writing the letter.
You know, when you're writing a letter, the first thing to realize is that the person who hurts you may not even realize they hurt you, one. And they may not acknowledge that they hurt you, even when you tell them that you did, and walk them through the situation and scenario, what happened, what date, what time. They may still wonder, what are you talking about?
Right. Yeah.
And so that's why it has to be for you.
Yes.
That this is not you checking them, challenging them, because again, they may not own it. That this is you getting healing for yourself. When you forgive somebody, you're releasing yourself from carrying that around. You know, one of the examples I like to use is to think about if you were walking down the street and you were actually on the sidewalk and a car came swerving down the street, and think about, you know, here in the Michigan area, dodging a pothole leaving. Accidentally end up on the sidewalk and bumped you and knocked you into the middle of the street.
Yeah.
It was not right. It wasn't fair. It shouldn't have happened. And that's what people say all the time, but it wasn't right. It shouldn't have. They shouldn't have done that to me. Now, not only did the person hit you, knock you in the street, they kept going. Didn't look back, didn't check on you, didn't see what was wrong with you. Now, you have a choice. You can lay in the street and get hit again, which is what a lot of people do, because they carry this victim mentality around. Everybody wounded me. You know, or you can crawl your little self out the middle of the street. You know, and now that you're out the middle of the street, you still responsible for getting help.
You're right.
Because the person gone. You got to go get therapy. You got to pay your own doctor bill. You got to take some time to heal. And I agree, it was not right. It should not have happened, but it did. And so when you're writing your letter, you have to acknowledge again that that person may not even remember that was you were the person that they hit in the middle of the street. So what you're saying is, this is what happened. And I have been carrying this for years, and I've been mad at you and angry with you and disappointed with you, and I haven't wanted to look at you. When I see you coming, I go to the other side of the church, I cross the street, I don't show up at somebody's house when I know you're going to be there. Whatever your storyline happens to be, you put it in print and just say, this is where I've been. And I just want to let you know that I'm releasing you.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm done carrying it at this point.
Yeah.
And again, the other person may be like, huh, what?
They didn't know you were carrying anything, but
Right.
you carried it.
You carry it.
Yeah.
And that's why I say when you write the letter, it's not necessarily to give to the person. The letter is for you, because you have to remember, if you give them the letter, you may cause even more problems.
Yes.
Especially if you're saying, I want to be in a relationship now. The person may know something's been different, and they don't know what. And so now that you've released it, now you're free to go embrace them and move forward. But if they get this letter, now they're reading it, now they want to back up and say, oh, really? Is that so? You know, so think about that before you just write a letter. It's for you, not for them.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
good advice.
That is great.
You're trying to help somebody.
That's right.
So
That is
there was
good.
this other thing about looking in the mirror. You know, and for me, that was what stood out about the class.
All of you were students
Yes,
in class.
yes, yes. So can you tell us about that exercise?
Oh, looking in the mirror, and I'm not talking about looking in the mirror to put your makeup on.
Right.
Because I think so often we put our makeup on as a cover up. But the idea of looking in the mirror is to be bare, to see yourself. You know, 'cause you have to remember, we have the Lord God Elroy Eye. He sees you.
Yes.
You know, he sees you wherever you are, whatever you're doing. He sees you when nobody else sees you. And so you're not hiding from him. And so when you're sitting in front of the mirror, you're saying, Lord, help me see what you see. And so as you sit there, stand in the mirror, you know, you're looking past, you know, I got a little mole over here, I got freckles here, oh, I don't have any eyebrows, oh, my hair needs to be combed. So that's the stuff you see initially, that's all surface stuff. But you want to start looking into the mirror long enough to see the inside. And the assignment is to sit there naked, literally, for 30 minutes. That means to take everything off. It's just you. You and your mirror. I'm not talking about you and your phone. So now I'm not talking about having a selfie moment. You know, this is not get your cell phone out, take pictures of yourself, do a Facebook Live. This is a personal moment of vulnerability and transparency. This is between you and the Lord and your mirror. And so you are literally sitting there bare, you know, naked and not ashamed. You know, and so you're gonna look and say, ooh, you know, I'm sagging, I'm rolling.
That's why I don't want to sit in front of you. You can't tell me. How do you get me past that?
That's why it's a 30-minute assignment.
Okay.
It does take some time to get past that. You know, so initially we see all the surface stuff. You know, so we sit there and we look at everything that's wrong with us.
Yes.
You know, and so part of good self-care is starting to see what's right with you. You know, and that's why even when you think about people in your world, you don't need a list of people who always point out what's wrong with you. You need some people who see the good in you. And so as you're sitting there in front of that mirror, you start to see where you're wounded. You know, you start to see the pain that's in your eyes. You start to see that your smile is forced. You know, that you're really not as happy as your smile would indicate. You know, and you can start to see what the Lord sees. But then as you look long enough, you also start to see that you're precious and honored in His sight. You start to see that you're fearfully and wonderfully made. And you can know that right well. You know, but whatever's wrong with me, God made me. And He was intentional about designing me. And so I can start saying, okay, Lord, this is the temple where you dwell. You know, and if there's something I'm looking at that I don't like that I can do something about, fix it. You know, if you wear a size 9, don't cut your toes off. If you weigh 300 pounds, lose some weight. So I'm saying there's some things you can fix, and other things you just have to live with. And you have to realize that. You know, I remember, and just a side note, you know, I wear a size 9, and I used to think that was the biggest foot in town. Until I started buying my own shoes, I realized all the 9s were missing. I think there's some other big foot people out here. But I realized I need a size 9 because I'm 5 feet 8 and a half, and if I had little teeny feet, I'd tip over. But also, these feet have carried me all over the world sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ. And the Bible says how beautiful are the feet. You know, whatever feet you got. So if you got cords on your feet, bunions on your feet, those your feet. Be proud of, you got to own you and be proud of you and realize that this is the only body I got. I need to take good care of it. So self-care. So we can transition there. Self-care. Taking care of your body. It's good self-care. You know, watching what you eat. You know, and I'm not saying you can't have a piece of cake and you can't have M&Ms or whatever your addictions are. Well, I shouldn't say your addictions, but whatever your pleasures are.
Too much pleasure.
Too much pleasure. You know?
Addiction,
which
food.
leads to gluttony, then addiction. You can have a little whatever you want on occasion, but we're talking about moderation. You know, do all things in moderation, and just to be mindful that if you want to live a healthy, long life, you got to take care of your body, because you only get one of these.
That's right.
That's
You
true.
know,
That's true.
so you need to exercise it. You need to give it some rest. You know, you can't work 24/7.
Yeah.
You know, I was doing some math the other day. I love numbers, and I was thinking, I said, you know, for people who love watching TV, you know, and I tell you, I'm guilty. I do a game show or two. I mean, I love me some Family Feud. You know, I had some Jeopardy. You know, but I did the math. If you just watch 2 hours, just not a whole lot, just 2 hours a day, 365 days a year. That's 730 hours worth of TV.
Wow.
Right, divided by 24 hours. That's 30 days. You lost a whole month.
Wow.
Watching television.
Watching
Watching
TV.
TV.
But just 2 hours. I ain't talking about people who sit all evening
Right, all
watching
day.
it. Watch show after
Right.
another. You come in the evening, turn your TV on, got your food, you just.
Right,
But I'm just
right.
saying, think about this. So people always say, I just
Wow.
need more time. A whole month.
Yeah.
So good self-care is getting some rest maybe with that time.
Yeah.
Because when you're more rested, you have more energy. You don't need a 5-hour energy drink.
Right.
You need to get some sleep.
Yeah.
You know, if you got some
Yeah.
sleep, you'd have some energy. You need to make sure you're eating the right kind of foods and getting your supplements, you know, whatever
Yeah.
your vitamins are, so you can be healthy. And if you did that, that's good self-care.
Oh Lord, I need a counselor. I'll be SOS you again, Dr. Black.
If you need a
Lord.
counselor, my number is 313-201-6286. Just give me a call.
There you go.
It is their website.
There's a website. You can go to www.drsabrinaBlack.com, and that's drsabrinaBlack.com.
And we will have that on the screen also. Thank you so much.
Yes.
So before we move along, one quick question. You talked about time management.
Yes.
You used the analogy of the hours in the TV. So we need to turn the TV off, right?
Oh, okay.
Yes. So what would be some things that you would suggest from a self-centered approach about emotional health? What would be some time well spent? What would be some things that a person would do on a daily basis to help them?
Time well spent on a daily basis. And I know it's going to sound silly, but take a bath. I mean, for one, if you just smell good, you feel better. I mean, just
Yes, you
the
do.
fresh, even just soap. You know, I ain't talking about having expensive
Right.
perfume. Just a good
Yeah.
bar of soap, even from the dollar store. They got nice smelling soap. Just take you a good bath, and while you're in the tub, that's a secluded place. That means you're away from everybody.
Yes.
You know, so that's some downtime for yourself. And read a book.
Yes.
You know, definitely I say read your Bible, but just read some good inspirational
Yes.
reading. You know, because reading a book gets you out of your world and into somebody else's world. It gives you a chance to see how somebody else is handling life and dealing with situations. It gives you a perspective on things. And so that's something I would say you can do just on a daily basis. On a daily basis, laugh. I mean, I've enjoyed being here today. We had a chance to laugh and have fun.
Yeah.
Laughter is good for your muscles. It's good for your heart, good for your lungs. And so you just need to find you a joker somewhere. You know,
Yes,
everybody
yes,
need a
yes.
girlfriend that cracks jokes. I mean,
Okay, that silly person.
you gotta have a
Okay.
silly person. The Bible says a merry heart doth good like medicine.
Yes.
I mean, and it's not just saying it, it's true. And it's funny how science has proven that the Bible is true.
That's it.
But it's been
Right.
true all along.
Right.
And so if you notice people who are joyful, that joy of the Lord that's their strength,
Yeah.
it's not because everything in their life is perfect. You know, because none of us have perfect lives. Everybody got something they deal
That's
with.
true.
But if you learn to laugh at stuff and have a good attitude about
Yes.
things, that's good self-care.
Okay. A little downtime, a little silent, a little bath. A lot of
And
recommendations.
laugh.
And laughter.
Look, you may laugh because you lock the bathroom door and the kids out there trying to get in.
Yes,
Yeah,
good.
Take
And
your
the
book.
husband. Like,
Take your book and continue to read it. Don't answer.
You guys remember that commercial, Cow God, take
Take
me
me
away.
away.
Take me away.
Yes.
Some
And
of
we
us
need
still need to be taken
Yes,
away.
we
And we need that.
Yes.
A little pajama time, a little bath time, reading a good book. Anything that gets you away from the reality of what's going on in your life. Because some people are going through some tough times.
Yeah, they are.
We can't deny that. But when you're going through that tough time, you said pajama day, you said baths. Is there anything else?
You know, the thing is, pull away and get perspective. You know, I really appreciate how the scripture talks about how even Jesus stole away. He got away from the crowd and got with the Father. And so I think that as women, and even as men, and just people in general, we just need to get away from the crowd, from the hustle and bustle. You know, I would even say do a technology fast. You know what I mean? Social media is wonderful, but social media has become so time consuming. You know, it's this issue of competition. You can't keep up with the Joneses. You can't do everything everybody online doing. You can't live for the people online. You can't live for how many likes you got or didn't get, you know, that kind of thing. And so you just got to know the Lord likes you and loves you.
That's right.
And you got a circle of people who like you and love you. And it can't be everybody. You know, so I would say sometimes you just need to do 24 hours unplug.
Yep.
You know, so lots of different things that you can do. Yeah.
Because I stopped watching television about 3 years ago.
Wow.
I realized it was taking, well, I watch with my husband just the
Okay.
shows he likes, but I turned mine off and it's just sitting there. I should give it away. But I realized that was too much time. And I was complaining I don't have Bible reading time. I don't have prayer time. I don't have time to do this. And then I realized, okay, you got time.
There you
Yes.
go.
You have time, but you're not
Right.
using it wisely.
Yeah.
So the wise use of time.
It's a good thing.
Yeah.
Self-care.
Yes.
See, I'm so excited about this show. I mean,
so
I'm just
cool.
thinking, I can see people sharing this with their friends. You know, they're watching it going, well, I need to send this to so-and-so, I need to send this
Yes.
to so-and-so.
Yes.
Because it's the kind of show that everybody can benefit. I think all of us have people in our lives that we wish would just slow down, that we wish would take care of themselves because we love them.
Yes.
I mean, we care about them, you know, we're concerned for them. And so just, if you're watching this show and this has been a blessing to you, share this with somebody.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
all of us
Yes.
know somebody who would benefit from a little self-care or even some counseling.
Yeah. Especially in the world we live in today. You know, like you were talking about that competition and everything is go, go, go. And if you're not making moves, then you don't look like you're doing anything or you don't feel important because you're not getting the, you know, the attention that people get. Again, I'm using these air quotes. Because that stuff is not important. None of it is important. So this is awesome. Awesome information.
Right. And so I think about all the people who see me online and it's like, Dr. Black, you at another party. Dr. Black, you at another movie. What you don't see is the time I'm not online. I'm not videotaping my Bible study. I'm studying. I can't put that on camera. I'm not videotaping me praying in the presence of the Lord. And so there's a lot of life that you don't see.
So you keep part of your life private just for you and the Lord, or just for yourself. And then share yourself with
Everything's not a
everyone else.
public moment.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right. Every time me and my husband go somewhere, it's not a public moment. So we go places even when you don't see date night. We had it. You know, so,
Exactly.
yeah.
You know, one of the things that we often talk about is doing so much for others, you know, and we think that that is what we're supposed to do, especially as women. We are nurturers by nature.
Yes.
So when it comes to self-care, how do we find that boundary in between the two?
Oh, I love that question. Here we go. So quickly, let me say what you do for that. So just like you have a PJ day, you have a no day, an N-O day. So you put that on the calendar, and that's the day when you say no to whatever anybody asks you. No, because I don't think we have good boundaries. We don't set loving limits. We just keep giving, doing, you know, and because you're single, don't mean you need to watch somebody's kids. You know, you can be a blessing and help, but because you're single, don't mean you're available to keep doing stuff. Say no. So let's practice right now. Everybody say no.
No.
No. Now say no to everything except for that free trip to Paris. So learn to set healthy boundaries.
Dr. Black, you told us the importance of saying no. Could you give us a little more information about that and summarize that from the
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, when we talk about saying no, this idea again of self-care, setting boundaries, you know, we talked about this idea of people living online and trying to keep up with the Joneses and the competition. Sometimes we try to do as much as everybody else is doing. And that's part of why we're so exhausted and why we need to do better self-care. So I have an example I want to share with each of you. So you get this little bag here, just has rubber bands in it.
Oh,
All different sizes.
okay.
And so right away, as I take them out of the bag, you can see that they're all different size rubber bands, even though they're all blue. Because that's the first thing you notice. Well, all the bands are blue, so you would think that they all are the same. They're all blue, just like we're all women. We're all the same. But let me give each of you a rubber band. Here you go.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So now, everybody stretch your rubber band as far as you can. Keep stretching.
This is it.
Keep stretching.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
Look, wow, look how far Tasha's stretched. She must be better than I am. and that's the first thing we start to say. They must be better because we all are blue. Well, how come she can stretch more than I can stretch? Let me try to stretch as much as she can. Why are you making faces? Don't make faces.
Mine won't pop, but it's
Pull it back in. So now what happens now? She says hers won't pop. Why do you think yours won't pop?
Because it's so thick.
Because it's so thick. So you have more resiliency, more buoyancy than maybe this one does because she's not as thick. But you will eventually pop if you keep stretching and stretching and stretching and stretching. And so what happens is we don't say no. Somebody says, well, can you take on this committee project? Stretch. Can you pick up my kids from school? Stretch. Can you bring something for this person over here who's sick? Stretch. Right. And all of us are making faces because we know eventually we will break and pop. But if you stretch and relax, stretch and relax, stretch, read a book, stretch, take a bath, stretch, have a pajama day, stretch, have a play day, stretch, get in the presence, Lord. You can stretch forever. If you keep stretching, 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 you will break and pop.
That's good.
Wow.
Oh.
That is excellent.
Yes.
So everyone get a rubber band to remind you of the advice you just heard.
Right.
And if you find that you're having trouble, get that rubber band and realize it's time for a play day
Yeah.
or
Right.
whatever.
Right.
When
And
you're
if-
making them faces, you
You
know
jump
what I'm
and when people around you are making those faces, they know you on edge and ready to break and pop.
Wow.
And they don't want to get hit when you break.
So they back off.
They back
Wow.
off. So stretch and
Oh,
relax.
wow. Wow, great example. Thank you. Thank you. So don't pull your rubber band continuously.
Say no.
Say no. Say no. Okay. Thank you.
So there are 3 things that we ask for you to give us as far as action plans to help our audience as well as us change. You know, so
Okay.
can you provide those?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. One thing I would say is connect. You know, connection is so important when you're doing self-care. One, connect with God, connect with yourself. Simple things like assessing where you are and what's going on with you, managing your own emotions, sitting in front of the mirror. Then connect with other people. You know, connect with a community of loving sisters and loving friends. Spend limited time with people who drain you. You know, we all have some of those people in our lives, and you can't avoid them. You gotta love them. That's part of what we do is we love those who seem unlovable.
Yes.
But you don't want to spend all your time with them because you need to get away, get replenished. And so I would say connection is key, and then planning is the other part of that. You have to make sure that you're intentional about living a balanced life. You have to make sure that you're intentional about taking care of your priorities and then having downtime so that you can rest and relax.
Wow.
Thank you.
That's really
Thank you.
I know it's a lot said. It's a lot said. So for people who watch this show, they're gonna need to watch it over and over again.
Yes.
Here, that's
Notepad
what
out,
they
take
play
some notes.
again.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that was some great advice. Thank you so much
Mhm.
for just to self-care for the caregiver, self-care, so that we can continue to serve our family. So Dr. Black, finally we would like for you to introduce what you brought with us, your book.
Yes,
Could you tell us a little bit about
yes, Live Right Now. And so Live Right Now deals with a lot of different issues in life that women struggle with. And I would say this is a great book for self-care because it helps you process those emotions, whether you're dealing with sex and sexuality, financial matters, emotional healing, relationships. But it's 7 different key areas of life that everybody's struggling with at some point. And it's written almost like a Dear Abby kind of book. So it's a Q&A where people write in real life questions. And so a question may be, the guy that I'm in love with says that he really loves me, but he has 2 other girls that I know he sees and everybody knows it. But he tells me he's going to leave them. Is it okay that I stay with him and wait? And all of y'all are looking like, But this is somebody's real life issue. And so I write back the biblical response of, 1, having self-worth, of understanding how valuable she is and how precious she is, and does she want to share somebody? Or does she want to wait for somebody who wants her only? You know, and so there's questions in all type of different areas. And if you're the person that people call in the middle of the night saying, I got this situation, what do I do about it? And you don't know what to say. The book gives those biblical responses. It gives homework assignments, it gives scripture references, it gives questions that you can ask that person, all written as this Q&A format. Yeah. So I would say excellent book for self-care and for other care.
Wow. And where can they purchase that book?
They can get the book online at the website at www.drsabrinablack.com. They can get it at amazon.com or at their local bookstores.
So it is available. We suggest that you please purchase the book and start getting your health and healing. Thank you, Dr. Black, for joining us. It has been a great day experience. So we applaud and thank you so much.
It's been a
God
pleasure.
bless you. Thank you. Our guest today was Dr. Sabrina Black. She gave us so much information, challenged us, touched you to the emotional part, And we thank her for helping us have self-care as far as our emotional and mental state. So I hope you listen to this more than once. Get all the pointers and also get the book. You've heard from us. Now let us hear from you. Will you go to our website, www.convowithu.org. So let us know how God has challenged you to change from the show that you've just seen. We thank you. Have a good day.